This is topic 11.4. It's all about triangles. You're going to need your note and your pencil. Our objective is to classify triangles in two ways and find their missing angle. Classify means to name them, and triangles have a first name and a last name. All of them have a first name and all of them have a last name. Just like people. Not everybody has a middle name, but everybody has a first name and a last name. So you're going to write Roman numeral 4, triangles. Letter A, triangles are classified in two ways. And I wrote that classified means named, and the two ways they're named are by their angles and their sides. Their first name is always their angle, and their last name is always their sides. And I made a list of the ways you can do them. So their first names are one of three. They could be an acute triangle, an obtuse triangle, or a right triangle. We've heard these words before when we did angles, because triangles are things that are made of three angles, hence their name. What you have to do is look at those angles inside. You can see inside there's little angles, that's a little part inside of each one of them. An acute triangle is a triangle that all the sides, all the angles inside are acute. They're all less than 90 degrees. And you can look at them inside, they're all tiny little angles. And I've made these marks to show you that all three are the same. An obtuse triangle, all it needs is one angle that's obtuse and the other two are not. So here I have one very large angle and the other two angles are tiny inside, so that's an obtuse triangle. And a right triangle only needs one right angle right there, and they'll put the little box for us, and the other two angles are not. So acute must have all three be acute, obtuse just needs one obtuse, and a right needs one right. That's their first name. Then you look at their last name. It's by their sides, the length of their sides. An equilateral triangle means all three sides are the same. And they'll make little marks like this. They'll do a line, 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 showing you that if all the lines are ones, that those lines are matching, they're congruent. So this one has three sides, the same length. So this triangle is called an equilateral triangle. That's its last name. Then there's the isosceles triangle. And it only has two sides the same. Notice that only two of them have the little one mark now. And the last one is the scalene triangle. None of the sides are the same. That's why one side has a 1 mark, one has a 2 mark, the other one has a 3 mark. They won't always mark it like this, but sometimes they do. So now we need to figure out how to name triangles with their first name and their last name. I'm going to draw a triangle up here and we're going to name him. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you a little mark right here, and I'm going to do this. So we first named its first name by looking at the angles on the inside. I see it has this little mark. So my choices are acute, obtuse, or right. So this triangle's first name is right. And now I need to look at the last names, equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. How many sides does it have matching? Well, according to this, oh look, I did this crazy. According to this, none of the sides are matching, so it is a scalene. So he's a right scalene, that's his name. Isn't that beautiful? His mama must have loved him. Let's try one more. So let's look at the angles inside. This is a tiny angle inside, it's not very wide. This is a tiny angle inside, it's not very wide. This is a tiny angle inside, it's not very wide. So it's acute. And now looking at the sides, two sides are the same, but the other side's not, so it's an acute isosceles. Side note, my husband wanted to name our daughter Isosceles. Isosceles Jamboree. Luckily, her mama saved her. Little side note there. Okay, so now let's look at this stuff. Triangles are special because they always have to equal 180 degrees. The three angles inside always, always, always equal 180. So if we have two of the angles, we can always find the third one. This triangle right here, it looks like it's an equilateral acute triangle, has two angles, a 60 and a 50, and I want to know the last angle. All I do is I add up the two angles I know, 60 plus 50 equals 110, and I subtract it from 180 because it has to equal 180. So I subtract that from 180, and that tells me that the missing angle must equal 70 degrees. Let's look at this triangle. This one looks like a right scalene triangle. It says that this tiny angle inside is a 12. But how big is this side right here? Oh, that mark means 90. So I'm going to add my two sides together that I know, and I get 102. And then I subtract it from 180. And that lets me know the missing side is 78 degrees. This side right here has to be 78. The last one right here looks like an isosceles obtuse angle. I know that this side is 20 degrees and this side is 20 degrees. So 20 plus 20 equals 40. I subtract that from the 180 and I get 140 degrees left over. So this angle right here has to equal 140 degrees. Okay, that's it.